Okay, student, many of you asked me that you don't remember how to create some classes, how to create a class to add objects, delete objects. So let me do a quick recap, okay? So first of all, you already completed, for example, in this case, the student class. In your project is going to be the contact class, right? So this is the student class, similar to the contact class. Just three attributes, private. We have the overloaded constructor, right? With the ID, first name and last name, you probably have more attributes for sure. Just did some sections here, the same thing that you are doing for your project, but for a student, okay? But this is the same thing. So this is that you already did. Also, there is in another video, right? Just the getter and the setters. Okay, so nothing new. This is in the previous video. Okay, but now I would like to go with you and create uh, the student service. Okay, service. So you have contact service, right? Okay, I would like to create with you the student service because because many of you told me that you took Java a long time ago and it's hard for you to implement the service class. Okay, you're gonna see that this is really easy. Okay, in this video, you're gonna use array list, but I will encourage you use map because the algorithm format is more efficient than for loops, right? You maybe know that. I'm gonna try to record another video with map. You're gonna see how easy is that. But in the meantime, we're gonna use Java util. I'm gonna use array list. Okay. We're going to keep all our student objects in the list. So we don't need a database for this project. Okay. So, okay, they're going to create an array list when we are going to store the object. What kind of object? The student object. So we have a student. Let me go here, just list equal new array list. Oh, okay. And class student service. Okay, here we go. Okay, our list is empty, right? So your job in the project is create the add contact, right? So I'm gonna create the add student, okay? And remember something important. ID must be unique. So if you are gonna create a student, this ID doesn't have to exist previously. Okay, we don't have database. Just assume that it's in the array. Everything is in the array list. Okay, so the ID have to be unique. So it doesn't have to be in the array list. Okay, so let's gonna create a signature. Public. I like to use method that return a boolean. Why? Because it's going to return true if the object was added to the list, or it's going to return false if we don't add the object to the list, because the ID already exists. So false when the ID already exists. True when the ID doesn't exist, so we were able to add the object to the list, to the array list. And why I need true or false? Because you can use assertion, right? Assert true, assert false, and handle really easy in the unit test. Okay, so let's gonna create the add student. Add student. Okay, and many of you writing the signature something like this: string ID, string name, and all the attributes. But this method, addStudent, is not in charge to create student objects. So if you type everything inside the parentheses, like parameters to create the object, right? So you're not going to create the object. So the object already exists. addStudent is in charge to add a student object to the list. So you will have to receive here a student object. Make sense? Okay. So somehow you will have to create the student first in the unit test. And you will have to pass a student object here, not individual attributes, right? So you're going to pass the object. Okay, so since this method is going to return true or false, it's going to create a Boolean variable. It's going to call it added, it add, okay? And it's going to initialize to false. Okay, okay. Now, what is the best case? The best case is when the list is empty, right? So if the list, let me double check that I record. You see, oops, cancel. Let me see if I record. Yes, I recorded. Okay. So I was mentioning that what is the best case here is that the list is empty, right? Oh, list is empty. And what happened if the list is empty? Hmm? What happened if the list is empty means that list, if the list is empty, what happened? How can we verify that? If, what is the name of the variable for the list? We call list that dot size equals 0, right? It's empty. And what happens if the list is empty? It means that we need to verify the ID. If the ID already exists in the array list, all right, just add the object to the list because the list is empty. Make sense? So list that add which object? The object that we're receiving in this reference variable, right? So we are receiving a student and we want to add this object to our list. So if we add it, let's gonna change the add equal true. Okay, we change the did add equal true. Oops. Okay, now what happens if this is not the case? So the list is not empty. Okay, we will have to think a lot now, right? Okay, the list is not empty. Assume that you have a list with many objects in there. So what do you have to do? You will have to scan what you have in the list, right? So let's gonna use a for loop. Okay, or uh, okay. So let's gonna scan the list. Okay. So for each student in the list, what we will have to do? If, right? If here. Let's gonna check if the student is in the list. How can we are gonna verify that? So let's gonna verify that the student that we are receiving here in this variable, right? Student, right? That get ID, perfect. Or maybe this is too small, sorry. Oops. Okay. Is this guy equal? Should be okay equal? This is an string, right? So it's much better use equals ignore case, just in case, right? So what should we do? Equals ignore case. Okay, if the student that you are receiving, the ID is equal to what? To S, because S is going to be, in this case, the first element in the list, second, third, so S is going to be all the student in each list one by one, right? The first time, the first object. Second time, S is going to point to the second object. Next time, S is going to point to the third object, and so on. Right? Just a quick recap about this enhanced for loop. Okay, so it's too slow. Okay, ignore case what? S dot get ID. So if that happens, it means that this ID that you want to use to add the object to the list already exists for another object, right? So we are not going to add this object to the list. So we can return that. And what is the value for the add? Okay, it's false, right? Because it's a list, it's not empty, right? What happened? You're gonna get inside the else. And now you're gonna return did add. That is gonna be, in this case, false. Of course, this is not the optimal code, okay? Just wanna show you something simple so you're gonna remember how to code in Java, okay? So this is a good idea to add comments and group, right? Okay, so here, only when we find the ID, we're gonna return immediately false. So it means that we're gonna stop, we're gonna finish the method addStudent, because it doesn't make sense to continue scanning the for loop because we already found that the ID already exists. Correct? Perfect. You got it. So in the for loop, right? So the for loop, what do we have to do here now? So let's gonna add here. This is the if and for loop. Okay. So after that, if that was not the case, right? If the for loop never returned false, remember, the for loop is gonna stop, right? Only if this condition is true. We're gonna return false, we're gonna stop everything. So if that is not the case, it means that we never found the ID. So the ID doesn't exist in the list. So you are free to what? You are free to add this student object because the ID never exists in the list, was not found in the list, right? We're gonna add this guy to the list. Okay, and after that, we're gonna change it add to true. It add equal true. Okay, Good. Okay. So if that is true, well, we can add the return here, or you can add the return at the end, right? Return, right? You can add here, or you can add at the end. Or it should be something simple. Okay, yeah, some simple logic. So let's gonna say that. And now, so you have the add student. The same thing you will have to do with the add content. So how can we test that? I don't wanna create the, the unit test. This is your job, okay? I just gonna show you how to test with the main method, okay? Just to make sure that that is working well, and then you can create the unit test. Okay, so let's gonna create, for example, student app. Okay, and let's gonna add the main methods here. You don't have to do that in your project, but I'm doing that so you can see that this is working, right? You can verify that, but then you will have to create the unit test. Okay, public static void. Okay, string. Okay. Now, uh, let's gonna create a boolean variable, right? I think that because we're gonna receive the result true or false, right? Depending if the student object was added to the list. Okay. Now let's gonna use the student app. So let's gonna use the student service. So let's gonna create the services. Student services. Service, student service. Okay, we're gonna use this class. We need a object from that. And also we need to create objects, right? Student one equal new student, and we need the ID one. I don't know which name can I write. It's gonna say Omar. Beautiful name. It's gonna write to Lisa. Okay, it's okay. And then let's not create another object. Okay, I create another variable, the same ID. Okay. 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 Now let's gonna see what's happening. With that, remember our method add student return true or false. So this is why I created a Boolean variable did add here. Service dot add student. This one. Okay. It's gonna print. It's gonna see if it was added. You're gonna see the value, and it's gonna repeat for the other object. Okay. Now it's gonna be S2. Okay. So what happened? Let's gonna try to add this object, and then let's gonna add this object as well. So in theory, this the first did add have to be true, and the second one have to be false, right? Because we are repeating the ID. So we're gonna see if that work. I'm just gonna see, or maybe this is too slow. Almost there. Okay. Wait. Mm, okay, let me close some application here. Try to free up memory. So return true and false. Now it's running again. So here two, one and two. So it's already gonna return true also. Right? Wait. Yeah, it's true and true. Right? You modify that. It's not gonna allow you to add the other. Or the ID already exists for another object. Okay. So what else you can verify here? Uh, what about the size, right? So this that list, right? Dot, so what should be the size? Two, right? Okay. I'm just gonna wait to complete, compile and run. But this is the idea of the add student. You can test like this, but you don't have to create a main method. Okay, you have to create the context service test, right? That one, because we were not able to add the other object, true and false. Okay, so I hope this video helped you remember how to create a class like student service, the context service to add objects. Okay, let me start with